Please like, comment, and subscribe.
How do we move into our own subjective universe and bubble? This is interesting when we look at it. There's one principle we need to understand first, and that is reality never repeats itself. Never. Never, ever. Even in the physical universes, because as we have explained, every time something happens, the whole existence will have to recalibrate. And because everything changes all the time, it is this enormous organic recalibration that never ends, which means repetition is impossible. Now, when we move into subjective consciousness, the disconnector is repetition. Every habit, repetition. Everything we get addicted to is repetition. Everything we do to calm ourselves and feel that we're in my space now, repetition. We repeat and repeat and repeat. And the more we repeat, the more we move into a subjective, disconnected state. And that is the goal for most humans. When you go through life, you find the things you like and you repeat them. And you collect habits, things, places, and you repeat indefinitely. That's what makes a human happy and completely disconnected. So, recognize in yourself that whenever you repeat something, you actually disconnect because reality cannot repeat. It never does. And that is also the first rule, as I said, about self-medication. The instinct we have is we need to find something to repeat. When you are faced with something new, a new space, it's uncomfortable because you haven't figured out what to repeat yet. Think of it. That is what makes it uncomfortable. When you have figured out how things work, it's because you've figured out what to repeat in that space. In that moment, you're in your subjective world and not in reality anymore. So in a practical way, in a very concrete way, this is how you can separate reality from the subjective bubble of ego. So look at your own life. How much are you repeating? Now, there's a difference between repeating and the spiral movement. When you specialize and you become better at something, that's not repetition. That's the spiral movement. When you look at it from above, it looks like you're moving in a circle, but actually you're moving upwards. So it's not repetition. It's always trying to go further in what you are doing. Repetition is wanting it to be the same. It's just like Christmas, traditions. We want them to be exactly like they were because that will give us the chemical rewards, right? That's what we're talking about. The comfort, the chemical rewards we get when we repeat, because that's the sign you will survive, because now you're doing something that has that's proven to work. So when you do that, you will survive. So the more you repeat stuff, the more you will survive and you will get those wonderful chemicals. That will also make you fall asleep spiritually. So look at your life. How much are you repeating? In the journey of one day, are you actually journeying or are you just repeating? Because if you think of repeating is going back, right? If you are on a journey, you're not repeating. If you're repeating, you start walking and then you go back for the same thing because the same thing exists in the same space. So you go back and you go back and you go back, and you have walked a lot, but you haven't moved. There's no journey. And we like that because it's safe. This is also what religion offers. This is why people do not really expand their consciousness through religion, because it's practices that you repeat. And it has to be done a certain way. And you learn text by heart, you do all of these things, but you're not moving at all. So try to specialize instead of repeating things. Try to take a really hard look at yourself and your life. And look at things you repeat simply because it's numbing. And you think it's pleasant, but I like it that way. Yeah, why do you like it? Then you have to examine the chemicals and the state of liking something. Is it actually the state of enjoyment? When there's something new, there is this element of acceleration. When you have that enjoyment of it's kind of relaxed and comfortable, then it's repetition. It's known. It's that warm hug from a grandma. So when it's something new, it always has this element of danger, which is that acceleration. Many people in sports, that's why they like it, because they can train, they can, repeat, but at the same time, they're not repeating. If you enjoy skiing downhill, it's never the same. You get a better technique, but the acceleration part of it, it's that you never know. You have to be present because it never repeats itself. Every second is something new you have to deal with. So feel this presence in the now because you're not repeating. And for many people, again, when it comes to sports, that is what is driving them. It's the only point in themselves where they can be awake because they're not repeating. So we need to do this in our lives. Life should be accelerating. And it is whenever you're not repeating.